This is the Lighthouse Keepers podcast, brought to life by Mary Ellen Sherlock and Anthony Marone, and his WIN Foundation in collaboration with the Joshua Foundation. Our mission is straightforward. In a world often focused on the individual, this podcast seeks to shine a light on the remarkable collective spirit of humanity. We're dedicated to bringing you inspiring conversations with exceptional organizations and individuals devoted to creating a better world. Welcome to the Lighthouse Keepers podcast. We are very excited to introduce you today to two extraordinary human beings. Kelly Lanzone. Kelly, you are the founder of the Helping Hearts at Home. And Gary Carpenter, you are the CFO of the Helping Hearts at Home, a wonderful foundation started by you guys to help people that want to live in their own home with assisted nursing help. Kelly, you started out as a nurse, you're a registered nurse, and you've worked in various fields as a registered nurse. And why did this idea come upon you?
Because I worked in a few different home care settings, and it became apparent that like certain things worked and some things didn't. So I kind of cobbled it all together and put my own little, business model together and decided to go for it. Like put my money where my mouth was and go out there and try it and see what happens.
And something you're good at, obviously. You like doing it.
Yeah, I love doing it. I love helping people. So, that's evident. And it grew very fast. And people really did take well to the model, which is the nursing model, which means the nurse is really the person that you're interacting with a lot of the time. So if there's anything that comes up, like say you're starting to feel a little sick or something, you can call the nurse, she'll talk to the doctors, or the aide will call the nurse and say, something's a little off here. Maybe you should come out and take a look at this. And that's all part of the service. The goal is to keep them at home safe and satisfied.
Right. And I have to tell you something. I know that as a person whose parents are still here, my dad is 93, my mom is 91, that is something that they hold on to. They want to be in their own home.
Absolutely.
They want to be surrounded by their memories, their furniture, they want to sleep in their bed. And the thought of having to go somewhere else is very unsettling for them. Yet as they get older, a lot more physical issues come in or a doctor or a nurse really can assess it a lot better and be a little bit more proactive about it. I have to imagine that despite the fact that this was completely a heartfelt situation, I'm going to look to you, Gary, not a cheap one. In other words, there are just so many things that I don't think, and I'm looking at my parents as an example, you could be unprepared for. Things that insurance will not cover for you to have the types of, things that you need in your home that would easily be set up in another, setup or another living situation.
Well, if I could comment on that. Basically, when an individual's talking to us, the good thing is a nurse will go out and make that assessment. Right. They'll go to the patient's home at no cost.
At no cost.
We do our assessments at no cost. They'll circulate around the house. They'll make sure that the house is able to take care of that family member.
Right.
And we'll supplement that. We'll talk with the entire family, even their counsel, even their lawyers, to make sure that we could do the care at home. Affordability is always a concern.
Right.
You brought that up. But the good part is that at Helping Hearts at Home,
that's where they want to be.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you something. Again, I keep defaulting because I'm kind of going through this with my own parents, is the thought of having to sell their home to go, they can't part with it. It's where, we raise the kids, we have the grandkids. Like there's something that is there, they're historically, they're rooted in those memories. And so it really is a trade-off. So to have a service that you've created where people can stay in their homes, that we're going to be able to get the care that they need. I want to talk a little bit because I knew this was a big issue during COVID, the pandemic. And that was the decline in some people because of the isolation. But when you are at home and potentially you're in your pod with your family members who can come and everybody's okay and they're masked and vaccinated or whatever it could be, that loneliness is not, it doesn't come into play. And so you talked a little bit about this with us, Kelly, when you said, that human interaction. We're there to really care for them. We're there to spend time with them, play a card game, sit and read a book with them. This goes beyond just being a clinical care nurse. It is a clinically caring nurse.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it really feels...
It's more like a social model than a medical model. And it's like we're not out there doing the treatments, skilled treatments, but there are a lot of things that can be done that are unskilled, that informal caregivers do, family members or friends that we can do, and keep them on track, keep them healthy, and keep them at home where they want to be.
Right.
If I could just comment on one thing, Helping Hearts at Home is the biggest companion care agency on Long Island.
Is it really? Congratulations. What a tremendous, that's incredible. To know that. I mean, I think if more people, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to have you as part of the Lighthouse Keepers, is the people know that you're there to try to help solve some of those problems for you. Because, and we're going to get into this in a minute, a lot of times you're kind of backed up against this wall, not anticipating that something's going to happen. And certainly everything's fine until it's not. And then you're in kind of a little bit of a triage mode, like, oh no, what are we doing? And that never really solves anything for anybody emotionally, because it's not done, with reasonableness and, it'll all work out. It's, always in some form of, it's a rush job, and it's a criticality. And, there's, just in, again, my own personal situation, you want to really respect and uphold the things that your parents want to do as much as you can. And I think that that's probably so important if you have, as a growing, community, a growing business, and the work that you do, that's exactly what you're giving to people. I guess the question is, I'm going to put this out here, to our listeners, because I think this is important. A few years ago, I remember going to something at my job where they were talking about the stress of working daughters and sons who were trying to care for elderly parents, how stressful that is to work, take care of your own family, and then worry about the very fragile and vulnerable parents who are going to tell you, and again, Mom, Dad, love you, we're fine, we're good, we don't need anything, we're all set. Knowing that, maybe somebody might have tripped, in the middle of the night or fell in the, in the shower, and like, everything's good over here, no problems. So how would you advise, or hopefully, are you starting to see patients and people and families come to you a little bit more? We're going to get in front of this a little bit sooner and talk to parents. My parents did something called an irrevocable trust. That's, Gary, would you probably say yes, that's very helpful. And what that really means is it's pretty much laid out for you way before. So rock on, Mom and Dad. However, what was not weeded out in that, what does, if something were to happen to one or the other, what does that look like? And that's a little bit of a taboo discussion. Don't want to talk about that.
What's interesting, before you talk about that, right in this building here, the biggest elder care firm is on the second floor. Assemblyman Steve Stern is partner of Davidow, Siegel, and Stern. They're the biggest.
Really?
And so what you're talking about, it's very common that Helping Hearts, Kelly, Patty, Kerry, or myself will meet with the attorney to focus on what you just said.
That's incredible. Wow. So you really are a one-stop shop. We are really trying to...
We have a lot of resources around us that we've developed over the years, people that we trust to work with our clients that we know are going to do a good job. So
it's scary. I mean, if knowledge is power, and sometimes when you are, when you've got that in your arsenal of like, okay, I know what I'm doing, but when you don't, you get to that critical mass where like things start to go south real quick, and then this becomes...
And there's so much coming at you.
Yes.
If you're in the hospital, they're coming at you with quite a few different plans at once on how they're going to discharge you, and it becomes confusing. And and your discharge really is contingent on how you're walking out the door that day.
Right.
So
and I think it's important to recognize that at the hospital setting, the discharge planners, who are key, have an extreme relationship with us.
Right.
So they're talking to us.
Yes.
Getting ready for that discharge.
Yes. What's interesting about that, again, I have so much, information and experience with my parents, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit. We joke about it, my siblings, and I have 7 brothers and sisters. We talk about the suitcase of pills. You know, whenever they come to, right, it's like a small carry-on. Like, you got through security with that? But the myriad of, you know, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, in the myriad of doctors that they talk to, we always go back to who's the GC, who's the general contractor, right? Because you're seeing this guy for all these things. Does he know that it would? So I have to tell you something. The spreadsheets, you know, the Excel spreadsheets, the PowerPoint diagrams. I mean, it's a lot just to make sure that we're all up. Everybody's got mom and dad's, you know, medications on their phones.
The world has been shrinking in that regard with the electronic records. So you're able to dial into what other doctors are doing, and there's better sharing, I've noticed. So you're not going to have one doctor prescribing one pill where it's contraindicated with another doctor and they don't know what each other are doing.
Right.
They have that capacity to see.
Love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. I think that's now because the my charts and the epics and the listen, I've been baptized now in the whole healthcare thing, not because of my own health, shamelessly, but you know, in having to learn this. And that's why I think the service that you provide is not just for the people who want to live in their homes, but it is helping educate people. And I have to tell you something. My brothers and sister and I, we are in front of this now. Like, we are never, you know, we know how important it is. We know how emotional it can be. And I think that's where it gets to the heart of people, that you never want to have a difficult conversation, you know, in a difficult time. If we're making decisions when we're all level-headed and you sure this is what you want to do, great, and we want to honor that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have to question your decisions when things are fast-paced and it's critical. You want to know that you're doing what your parents want for you, for themselves. I'm sorry, and unfortunately during that time, if it's not really laid out how they exactly want it, it's a time where families can fight. And that's what we don't want to see. We don't want to see siblings fighting with each other because one person thinks one way and another one thinks another. And it's just such a waste, you know, during that time.
And that's really the value of having Kelly or Patty going out there and being kind of like the referee.
Right.
Put it all on the table. Let's talk it out.
Right.
And when they hear it coming from a nurse talking about care to their loved one, they feel comfortable.
Yes, all of a sudden, gray area becomes crystal clear.
Yeah.
And so I have a question for you. You said something, we were doing a discussion a couple of days ago, and you obviously didn't recognize it, we were on Zoom, and you started to talk about your staff, and your whole face lit up. You're like, I have the most amazing people and you really, I mean, it feels like you have your own family that's with you doing this.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about some of your superstars that do this, because they embed themselves in other people's families.
Yeah, they do. We actually work very well together, and it's something that, you know, you're lucky to get it together. You never know how it's going to, you know, if it's going to amalgamate like that. But it did. The 2 nurses that I have, Carrie and Patty, they work great together. I'm friendly with both of them.
Yes.
You know, we get along very well. My son works for us. He's a veteran Marine, and he's doing HR.
Amen.
He's great at it.
Yeah.
And then my aunt does the billing or the control work. She does the accounting stuff. And then there's Gary.
Yes.
So like when you come into my office, it's really, I want it to be family oriented. I don't want it to feel businessy, stuffy. Of course, business has to be done.
Yes, yes.
And we have to, you know, we have to provide the service very well, and we have to also make money so we can continue to do it.
Right.
But I don't, you know, I want everybody to be, you know, satisfied with where they work and feel like that they could do their job without somebody standing on top of them and micromanaging them.
Right.
And we have a big enough office to do that.
Yes.
And where we are in Smithtown, it's quite a big office, suite.
Yes.
Suite, so everybody has their own offices, and it's open.
Right.
So that's good.
What is the number one thing when people knock on your door, I'd like to meet with you? What is usually the first thing that requests? Is it, we just want to stay home, he's fine, I'm not, he needs a walker, I'm okay, my wife passed, I want to stay at home. Is it a myriad of things, or?
It's definitely a myriad, but I mostly see children calling when they finally have come to the point where they have done everything they can. They do so much for mom and dad, and it's just becoming more. It snowballs. There's more doctor appointments, more medications, more things to follow, and they have their own families as well, and that gets backburnered. So they become frustrated, and they bring us in to try to, help them out.
Yeah. What options are available for us? How do we try to make this work? How do we continue their care, keep them at home, and to keep them happy? What is it? Happy wife, happy life, and same thing. If you want to be together. And I also want to say a little bit. You don't care. It's not just for the elderly. It could also be people that are homebound. After a tragic accident or so on.
We've taken care of people who have been, injured in certain ways. Over the years, I do focus on the elder population. We do have most of our expertise in the neurological sphere, with dementias and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and MS. So, but we could take care of everyone. We're nurses,
right? I have to tell you something that's kind of funny. I keep referring back to my parents, but it's kind of what I know. And so, talking to you, I'm drawn to this discussion. My dad is a wonderful storyteller, and you could literally sit there for hours and listen to his stories. And I know I've heard them on, and he'll say, I'm so sorry, but I know I've told you this story before. It's endearing to me. I know that that's an important part of my dad that's sharing it. And I wonder sometimes when you meet some of your clients and some of the families that you work with, you're like, what a sweet man, what an interesting story. You really, and just in getting to know them, you really become a friend with them. You start to, involved in their life. They mean something to you. Yeah. It's not, I've heard all their stories.
Certain clients connect differently with you.
Yes.
A little closer, and you take it a little more personally.
Yeah, you are family. You're like a daughter, a niece, a cousin. It's wonderful. 5 years from now, where do you guys see yourself?
You're the owner.
So right now, I think you are here on Long Island. You also have,
I have an office in Florida as well. I just continue growing the program and reaching out to different people and letting people know that there is a level of help that you can have at home. It's not covered by Medicare or Medicaid per se, but it's very helpful and it will keep you home.
Right, exactly.
So,
if I could add a little bit more on that. We do have a plan. One of the big pieces of our plan is we're looking to take our product and bring a different product on it. We're a companion care agency.
Okay.
We want to now be a licensed agency also. That's a process that takes 2 years in the state of New York. In Florida, we're a companion care agency, but we're in the process of now getting major contracts with managed care organizations.
Wow.
And so what that's going to do is explode Florida. So I think from a standpoint of 5 years out, we're going to still be growing.
Yeah, still
growing. And, she's young. Our staff is young.
Yes.
And we're going to ride this.
Well, Gary, you bring up a good point. Based on current statistics, people are living longer.
It's only, the population's only going to age. And it's going to be more of a need as time goes by. And like you said, with COVID, after certain things that have happened during the COVID time and people being alone and lonely, they are afraid of ever going into a facility. Yeah. They do not want to go in there. And I can understand why, at this point, after seeing what happened, why they want to be home. They don't want to be told nobody wants to be told what to do.
Sure. When we kicked off this podcast, we talked a lot about what are some of the characteristics of a lighthouse keeper? And some of them were dependability and responsible and resilient. And I think that's exactly what you guys embody in trying to help people navigate and live their best life no matter what the age is.
If I could just add on that for
Of
1
course.
second. Obviously, I think you're well aware that both Kelly and I are involved with the WIN Foundation,
Yes.
Tony's organization. We gravitated to that. Tony and I have gravitated to that, and it's all part of doing the right thing for
It's all
people.
part of doing the right thing. It's all part of coming together as a community.
You find the right people with the same mindset.
That's really the joy about doing this, is that you start to find like-minded people, and you really, you get a little high off of it. It's really nice. It's really good to be in good energy with good people and just to talk about it. That there are really people that kind of inspire and uplift listeners to be like, come on now, join in. There's a lot we can do for the greater good.
There's plenty to do, right?
Yes, exactly.
You use the word getting a high. My wife, Patty, will get calls at night. and we'd be sitting down, and a call would come in, and a person's just talking how good this agency is,
Yes.
how good you are, Patty.
Yes.
And I'm hearing this
Yes.
because it's on speakerphone.
Yeah, that happened.
I'm so
It's
proud.
really, you know what? It's really heartwarming. But kudos to the person who goes and makes that call.
Yeah.
I bet you there's probably thousands of people like that, Gary. But it's the one person that does it. I'm sure your wife Patty hung up and said, "You know what? That's why I get up in the morning. That's exactly why I get up in the morning." And you know, what is it they used to say? Courtesy is contagious. So is positivity.
Yeah.
It's contagious. Kelly, if people wanted to find you, hey, we just heard of this woman on this podcast. She's fantastic. Her CFO, Gary Carpenter, there's amazing. How do we find you?
You can call me at my office, 631-676-4400.
And all the information is on your website, and they can find everything there. All your socials we're going to add. Everyone,
Yep.
don't you worry about that. We'll get all your Instagrams and Facebooks. And so one of the things we're also going to mention is if we do have a community of people that have questions about the programs that you offer, if we can help in any way, you know, if they contact us and we'll
Absolutely.
talk to them through
Yeah.
you, it would be a great partnership to kind of you know, keep the spirit of the good stuff that you're doing. Thank you so much for being our podcast
welcome.
today.
Thank you for
You're
having
just
us.
so incredibly gracious and helpful and knowledgeable, and really make something that can be very daunting a lot easier to consume. So thank you so much both for being with us today.
Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for watching and being part of this journey. Remember that lighthouses symbolize hope. With hope, we persevere and inspire positive change. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with your friends. Until next time, keep shining your light.